Chad with Digest Real Food here. Today I'm going to show you a great way to make some carbohydrates that do not spike your insulin. That's with sweet potatoes. I got some, they're all organic. Usually I get the white Japanese ones, these purple ones, and this is a local one out of North Carolina. It's a orange one. And we have some very good quality butter that's pasture finished. Some salt. This is the salt I prefer. It has some red specks in it. If you haven't used this salt before, I like it because it's not as strong as other salts, so you can take more of it in and get all the great chloride and other minerals that you should be getting in your diet. Allows me to get more in without ruining the taste of the food. And for this batch here, I'm going to make them Chipotle. You don't have to season them if you don't want to. So you'll need the potatoes, salt, butter, seasoning of your choice, cutting board, a cookie sheet, and a knife. Now that you got the potatoes washed and peeled, you want to go ahead and preset your oven to 450 degrees so it can warm up while you're cutting these up. Now, you can cut these up a couple different ways depending on what you're going to use them for. I prefer my clients to not eat bread because it's all processed. There's no benefit of eating bread. So I like to see them use potatoes in substitute of bread. And if you're going to do that, you want to cut them kind of long ways. In this fashion. That way, after they're cooked, you can actually put whatever you put on your sandwich. I personally put grass-fed beef, some cheese, whatever you want on it, and you make a sandwich out of it. That way you still have the feel of a sandwich, and it actually tastes so much better in bread anyway once you cook them, because we're going to be cooking these at 450 degrees for 30 minutes. So they're absolutely delicious once they're cooked. And I think once you get in the habit of substituting this as bread or crackers, you're going to start seeing some great results because this won't spike your insulin. Now on the notes that I attach with this, I'll put copies of all the ingredients, plus I'm going to put a link on there to my webpage about carbohydrates. You really should take a look at that so you understand what types of carbohydrates and what time of day you should be eating them, if you even should be eating them. It's really dependent on an individual's chemistry, what they're working on, time of day, and their activity level. Now, if you're just going to use these to nibble on here and there, I like to cut them real short like this. Just make little wedges. So go ahead and cut up your potatoes however you want, then I'll take you to the next step. In the last clip I said that these don't spike your insulin. What I meant to say is they break down slower than some other carbs. Like a regular potato is not anything like this. It breaks down very fast and spikes your insulin. But if you eat too many carbs, no matter what type of carb they are, carbohydrate, if you get too many in your system that your body can't utilize, it has to release insulin and store it as fat. That's what we want to avoid, because that can cause damage to the arterial walls, cholesterol buildup on it. Plus it makes you store body fat and drops your blood sugar. There's no upside to it at all. So now that you've cut your potatoes the way that you want them, I just took these cookie sheets out. The oven's still preheating. And what I'm going to do, and what I suggest you do so your potatoes don't stick and they also taste a lot better, is while the cookie sheet's still warm, just put a little thin coating on it. of butter. Don't put too much because we're cooking at a pretty high temperature. It'll splatter all over your oven. Even if you use the cookie sheets that have edges, it'll splatter over and it'll kind of smoke and smell up your kitchen. Just put enough on so it doesn't stick. And then on top of that, to help it stick less and to get some of this good salt, some more of this salt, you want to put a layer of this on your butter. All right, and just spread them out. There's nothing magical about it. Spread it out like I like to cook, you know, 4 to 6 potatoes at a time. They last me for 4 or 5 days. That way you're not always cooking them. The total prep time on this is probably about 15 minutes. Then it cooks for a half hour. So I'd allow yourself at least an hour if you're going to be cooking these. Once you take them out of the oven, you can just throw them in the fridge. But you're going to need probably at least an hour between prep and being completely finished with it. Okay guys, the oven's not quite preheated yet, but I'm going to go ahead and put these in. Your oven, oh, there it is right there. Now it's preheated. I was going to say, I'm cooking at 450 for 30 minutes. Your oven may be hotter or colder, so the first time you do it, you may want to put your timer for 20 minutes and look at it and make sure that your oven's not cooking at a higher temperature, because I don't want you to burn your potatoes. You may even have to cook it longer than 30 minutes. The way you know is you're going to have to cook for at least 15 minutes at 450 because this is such a dense food. If you don't, your body's going to have a hard time breaking it down. It can make you kind of gassy. Even if you have strong digestion, some of these foods with the cellulose, the vegetables, you do have to cook them pretty good so you can take advantage of the nutrients in them. So we'll get ahead and put these in here. And we'll see you in 20 minutes. Be careful when you open the door, there's a big blast of heat. Those look pretty done. When they start curling up a little bit or starting to get brown on the edge like right here, you know they're getting done. I might leave those in there just a couple more minutes. It's better to have them cooked on the more well done side than not so well, just so you're able to fully digest them. Those are finishing up. I'm going to go ahead and take that stick of butter and melt it. Remember, we put, they're kind of small potatoes, but there's like 5 or 6 of them. So a whole stick of butter, that's only a couple tablespoons per butter. It's great to eat any kind of carbohydrate with a quality protein or fat, because that'll also help buffer insulin spikes. Alright guys, I think we're ready. So go ahead and shut the oven off. You can let them sit for a while. I just go ahead and scrape them off. You can see they don't stick at all. Well, these actually did a little bit. They stuck a little more than usual today. They were kind of soft when I was cutting them. They weren't the best quality, but it's all they had at the store. The white Japanese ones, sweet potatoes, are a lot more firm. So if you like a crunchier potato, a little heartier one, I would go with the white Japanese sweet potatoes. Some of them are very difficult to cut, actually. Really got to put your weight into it to cut them. Now you can really get a lot of benefits from eating these sweet potatoes, especially when you incorporate them with a high quality fat or protein. It can be utilized to help stabilize your blood sugar. And also a great fuel source for your workouts. But no food's going to work for you if your digestion isn't working properly. So you want to make sure your bile's flowing so you can break down this good fat. And carbohydrates tend to be easier to break down. We're going to put some salt in the butter. This is the stick of butter that I warmed up. I like to mix it in here because we're going to pour it over the potatoes. Stir it in. Since I'm going to make these Chipotle, I'm going to go ahead and stir it in the butter because it tends to spread. And I also add salt and Chipotle when I serve them on my plate in later days. Just season to taste. You don't have to do this step. And you just pour the butter over. Now you have a great meal that's prepared over the next several days you can snack on. There's no excuses to go hungry or to stop at fast food. Just put some of these in the Tupperware, keep them at work, keep them at home. And you would, like I said, this is a nice medium carbohydrate. You can learn more about carbohydrates on my website, because they are a lot different and depend on several factors. If you incorporate them right, you can really get a lot of benefits from these.